What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Volume Podcast. And today we are talking about Parasyte The Grey, which is based off of the anime Parasyte. So, as always, sit back, relax, and turn it to 11. All right, so here we are, and so today we're talking about Parasyte, the live-action version of the anime, which stars, me and names, it stars Jun So-nim, Koo Kyo-hwan, and Lee Jung-hyun. I think I said them pretty good.
Sounded pretty good. Sounded pretty good.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, those are the three main kind of lead characters of the show, and pretty much. So, off the bat, this show is about a extraterrestrial parasitic organism that lands on Earth and needs to consume humans, or kind of like symbiotes from Venom.
Yeah, a little
right?
bit. Yeah.
So they infect humans and then take over their bodies and live through them, pretty much, and then they eat other humans to survive.
Yes.
And so that's what the show is based off of. But this is the Korean version of that show, where the main character, Jun So-nim, her character is Jung So-suin, she gets infected. She's I think it's what do you call it? Oh, cashier at a supermarket.
Yeah.
And she's like on her way home, minding her own business, and this psychopath tries to kill her. Actually does kill her.
Yeah.
But in the process, this parasite surprisingly landed near her and took over her body. But because she was already in the process of dying, never fully took over her body. Mm-hmm. And so they were kind of like two minds in one body, and never fully blended together.
Right.
Because most of the time, these parasites, whenever they infect a human, they take over the human fully.
100%.
Right. The human is dead by that point. They're just it's the infected parasite. So she doesn't get that she is still individual from the parasite, and they're kind of like back and forth over who controls the body.
Mm-hmm. Basically, the parasite saved her life.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
And in doing so, it anchored her life to each other. Yeah. So yeah.
And then that guy who tried to kill her definitely gets cut in half. Yeah. He dies. Yeah. Right off the bat.
Absolutely. And the cop, Chomun, the father figure, was trying to figure this out. He's like, what the heck? And what was cool about his character is that he is not just any other detective and some guy that's trying to just keep her away from danger, but he is somebody that looks for the truth despite people saying don't do it.
Yeah, well, and they've known each other for a long time because she was abused.
She was abandoned and abandoned
by her family.
Her biological father abused her. No, she killed him, right?
She did. Yeah, she eventually did because he was kind of a horrible person.
And the mom abandoned her.
Yeah, and so he kind of became like that father figure in her life. So I loved his character. His character was so good. It broke my heart as you get through the show. And spoilers, if this is a spoiler to you, I don't know what you're doing, because this show came out like in freaking July.
Yeah, July
somewhere
6th
around there. It's been a while. It's a great show. If you haven't watched it, watch it. If you're a fan of Parasyte, the animated series, and you haven't watched this one, do so. I was actually, let me just start off with this. When I saw that they were making a live action version, the first thing I was like, oh, great. Here we go again. Yeah. Another jack up of a wonderful anime. Because I love the anime. The anime is super good.
I was sad with the anime, too.
Yeah, so I was super like, oh, man. It's like, I don't know if I want to watch this. But what they did with this was genius, right? It wasn't an adaptive version of the anime.
No.
It's a whole different story from a different perspective, like a different country altogether. Yeah. This is happening at the exact same time as what's happening in Japan with Shuichi. Yeah. So what's happening in Japan with Shuichi is happening in Korea with Suin. Yeah. Right? So I'm just like, genius. You don't mess with anything. You can't upset the fans of the anime, because you're like, we're not touching that.
Exactly.
This is a whole different story, but in the same world. And I was like, You did it right. You did it, and not a lot of
Yeah.
shows that you could do that with.
And you know what? They kept the trope of sadness, like you were saying. It was very heartfelt in this film, especially with Chomin. You know, when he gets decapitated. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! So in the anime, dude, my heart broke when his mom had turned into one of the parasites. Shinichi's mom. Like when she turned into him, and she ended up dying from another parasite. But essentially, because I knew once the parasite takes over the human host is gone.
Yeah.
So they kept up with that theme. By when Suin went to go look for her sister, or no, was it Suin? Yeah, Suin. No. When Kang Woo went to look for his little sister,
yeah.
He found her in the barn of the somewhat cult that was actually parasites.
Yeah.
And that crushed me because one of his biggest enemies was his elder sister.
Who is infected by...
Who is also,
Who is a parasite now.
So I'm just like, my goodness. They did Kang Woo like they did Shinichi. They did him dirty.
Yeah.
But like I said, they kept up with that very real familial terror.
Yeah.
Of it happening to not everybody, but one survivor of that family is heartbreaking. And they did that. And I was just like, oh, as much as I'm like, it's heartbreaking. I still enjoyed it because I was just like, this is very real. I mean, why would the whole family not be affected by something that's going on in the entire world?
Right.
You know what I mean? And because of that, the representation of the parasites being a real threat to life, it made the film or it made the series that much better. Mm-hmm. I think that having the first parasite show up at a rave or like an EDC.
Yeah. And he just started...
Yeah, I'm like, bruh, what?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do drugs out there as hard as they do it here.
Probably.
Maybe. We don't know because I'm not from there. But if they were, I can see why they were kind of late on the uptake. But if they weren't, like, there was a lot of foolish people over there thinking like, yo, there's this dude that has like long things coming out of his face, cutting everybody up. That was nuts.
They were tripping.
They were
like, this is a bad trip, buddy.
It's like, yo, I love this club, or I love this festival. EDC, baby.
Yeah. No. The graphics, by the way, were pretty good too.
Yeah,
they were doing a great job with it. Yeah, those things were pretty dope. I thought it was really good. The when you first find like the first one that at the EDC festival and he's just chopping people up and you're like, damn, this is crazy. Right. And it was fantastic to see. I thought they all did a really good job of just being like unhuman about everything. They were so like, you know,
stone face.
Yeah. Just living their life. And then you have Jun Kyung, the head of the Grey Task Force.
Or the chick, yeah.
Yeah. Hardcore. She
great.
was so good. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, yo, you don't want to mess with her. She doesn't give a flip. No. If she thinks you're infected, boom, she'll shoot you. Mm-hmm. She's blowing your face off. And she tried to do it multiple times. They were using her husband, right? As he was the one inside of the helmet. They were using him as like pretty much like a
way to communicate,
a detector for where there were parasites, so that they can go after them and whatever. His death was sad too, even though he was already infected. She still loved her husband. Like she was this cold character who was like, "I'm not here to mess around. I'm going to shoot these creatures." You know, the few for the many. Right. But you could still see that she loved her husband because even though her husband died and she acted kind of cold, there was like that moment of like sadness, like he's gone now for sure, right? He's dead, obviously, but her character was really dope. Her like the ability that she had to create this whole task force, and they were like just going after these parasites, even though to some extent failing because you had this ginormous cluster of them living in that church, right? Wasn't it it was some kind of like pastor or priest or something that was like the head of them. He took over their body. Well, his character was also very interesting because the parasite started like evolving, right? Because he wanted to be different. Yeah, he had ambitions. While the rest of them were thinking of like a collective, he was like, yeah, but I want to be more. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting that you could see that his character was evolving, and then his the sister Kyung Woo's sister,
Kyung-hee.
Kyung-hee, she saw that, right, and then she kind of started having like
she evolved in a different way.
Yeah, she
emotionally
sympathy.
Yeah.
I would say, or empathy. I don't know which word it is. I always forget which one is which.
Well, sympathy is more they feel someone else's pain. Empathy is that
understanding.
Understanding and then fixing it.
That she started feeling empathy for them because she like, no, what he's doing is wrong. We need to like finish him off. He needs to die, and she sacrificed her life for her brother. There was
for the host's brother.
True, but she had feelings. She had feelings, not romantic ones, like loving brother sibling feelings.
Probably because it was the part of the host's like network.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I did like that part actually. I liked how she had that human part come in all of a sudden, which makes me actually want to rewatch the mom part of Shinichi's life because I'm pretty sure she died and she was taken over by a host. But I could be wrong. It's been a while. I haven't watched Parasyte in years.
Yeah, me neither. When I saw that they were coming with the live action, I was excited and terrified all at the same time because I was like, "Oh man!"
Live action.
Yeah. But even in the animated series, Shinichi and his Parasyte, they got to the point where they were like friends. They did things because they wanted to help, not because one wanted and the other one didn't. There was no resistance between them. So. Mm-hmm. You see that in the other ones too. Like even Suin's Parasyte was the same. They were beginning to like coexist and wanting to do things together, like for the greater good of either themselves or for Kang Woo or Kang Woo, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. And then sadly you get the Chulmin, right? He gets infected. He gets his head chopped off, first of all.
He gets killed first.
Yeah. And then the Parasyte, pretty much attaches himself.
Yeah.
And so he's walking around as a bad guy. And then his buddy's also in on it. Like his partner is a traitor. A Benedict Arnold. A Redcoat. Actually, I don't know what Redcoat is.
A Benedict Arnold Nim.
Exactly. Or Arnold Benedict team.
Arnold because Benedict go. Arnold Benedict she. Wait, she is younger, right, or older?
No, she is Mr.
Mr. Yeah, she.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the case is, the fact that there was a traitor. I mean, I saw it, and because it's only 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
But aside from the traitor, like he was whack. I was just like, but I understand he was afraid of his life. I mean, his family.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get it. Then you have Kang Woo, who is he's like co-lead with the main girl.
Yeah.
Because the main chick, the female antagonist was his older sister who killed their younger sister, which is terrible. But he was a gangster on the run in the meantime. And so all these people are trying to kill him while there are aliens or parasites, also trying to kill him.
And so everybody.
And his character was so interesting because he had no powers. He was just a regular, plain old, sleazy gangster dude trying to do right by coming there for his sister because she needed help. Because she was like, I need help. That was the last thing that he sent her. And literally comes home to find that his sister's weird, his little sister's dead, and now he has to go to his best friend who's given him so much money. And, his character was actually the most interesting.
I agree.
Because Su-in wasn't as interesting unless she was using her powers, because she felt like she was always a burden, but that was because of her character arc, which was an abandoned girl who came from an abusive household. Understood. But man, does that suck that she had to go through all that, and because of that her character was kind of dull, whereas someone like Kang Woo, who I wouldn't say he wasn't abandoned, but he was abandoning his family. He didn't care much about them.
He was a coward.
He was, yes, that too.
Very much coward.
Yes. And so to see these two work together was kind of strange in a way, because I'm like, what does Kang Woo have help Su-in?
Humanity.
Oh, the cowardice and...
Well, I think it's because... I think it's more the fact that because of his prior life led to, or at least in his thought process, led to his younger sister's death, that he doesn't want to live that way anymore. He wants to be better. He wants to become something that is worthy, right?
Right.
So he becomes that character who tries to save. What was it? He was not the president, but he was some kind of like congressperson or whatever.
Yeah.
And he tries to save him,
Like a mayor or
and he's
something.
like, "Why am I doing these things?" Like,
Oh, he's a governor. That's
yeah,
what it is.
yeah, like he was a
yeah.
governor or whatever, because they were trying to the parasites were trying to infiltrate all of the like higher up parties and
Yeah.
stuff so that they can influence government as a whole. Right, and he's like, but you see Kang Woo, he's just like, why am I doing all this stuff, man? These things are trying to kill me. I should be running.
Yeah.
Right, but then he's like thinking of his younger sister. And he's like, because I run, bad things happen. I need to be a better person. And I think Su-in is his kind of like his catalyst, right? Because Su-in is this helpless girl who, whenever she's in her human form, she's helpless. She's broken. She's, but at the same time, kind of like still kind of optimistic in some ways. Like she still tries to, even though she's all broken, she still tries to help. She has no powers herself, right? The parasite has the powers, but she doesn't. And so I think that kind of like encourages Kang Woo to be, okay, I have to be that kind of like I need to be her sword, right? Her champion. Yeah. Because whenever freaking parasite Su-in comes in, she has no emotions. She has no desires except for the destruction. Well, her own survival first, but then later on the destruction of the rest of the parasite organization, because they're just trying to kill her. And she's like, right. All right, you want to kill me? I'll kill you first. Right? And she really wants to go after the priest or the religious figurehead parasite, right? The one that's trying to become more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this series was pretty good. I mean,
I loved it.
I don't see it. Did you have any negative parts to it? Like, I think for me was that they killed Chulmin.
Oh, 100%. That was the worst part.
Oh, and they had to kill him first.
And it was so, it's so abrupt.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense because the parasites are just like so, like they're not a force to be reckoned with. They're dangerous creatures, right? So to see Chulmin kind of like Chulmin, right? Chulmin. Yeah. Seeing Chulmin like he had no chance, right? It was so abrupt. His death was just like, you're dead. He had he couldn't fight them off. He didn't have any strength or anything. Yeah. He was just a regular human. And on top of that, kind of like a middle-aged man. He's like in probably his 50s, right? Later 50s or whatever. And so, he had no chance against these creatures. So, but I completely agree. Negative of this movie, Chulmin dying. Yeah. Heartbreaking. Bro. I was like, that was more heartbreaking to me than Kang Woo's little sister dying.
Yeah.
Probably because I had no attachments to her. But to him, you saw the connection between him and Su-in. And you're just like, oh no, I was like, you're joking, right? You didn't really kill him, right? That's not true, right? No, he's dead.
He was gone, and I was like, I actually screamed at the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, no, why? And it only makes sense because of Hyukju, or the main bad parasite, was ambitious. And because of his ambition, it got him to where the governor was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. I guess if you are under the parasite's clutches, you're actually more vulnerable to death as a parasite than when you are a parasite. But if you don't attach to a host, I believe you're dead, right?
Yeah. They have to attach to a host quickly, or else they die. That's why Su-in's parasite, even though she was dying, it attached to her quickly because it was going to die one way or the other. It needs a host.
I think the last bad part for me, or negative part of the show, is that we didn't have the gym guy from the anime. You remember the guy that was in the gym clothes?
Yeah.
That dude was insane, bro. I was like, the massacre that he had endured, or had done to whatever room. I forgot what. I think it was a bathhouse.
Yeah.
Wherever he was, I think it was at a police station, and he cut up everybody. And you just see his face. He walks in, and his face just starts to cut in slices. And they were all just little knives of his. I mean, he ends up fighting. What is his name? Shigi. That's the hand.
Oh, that's the name of the
Shigi, I think it is.
Yeah.
And they were fighting, and and then that's where she's like, "Yo, this guy is strong." We didn't have a very strong character within these guys. Rather, the more dangerous one was the ambitious one.
Yeah.
The one that could hop hosts.
Yeah, he all he had to do was just kept jumping. He needed the heads to be chopped off in order to to jump to them
Yeah.
and then become
dangerous. He was the most dangerous in a sense of he could literally take over the world. Whereas in Shinichi's world, it's not as oh, maybe it is. I'm not sure. It's been a while. But for me, I wish that would happen.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I mean, that was my last.
No, I agree. I think that was probably I mean, for me, definitely Cho-Min's death was the saddest thing. I was like, did you really have to kill him?
Bro,
Right? That was, other than that, I thought like I said, I think they did a great job with this show. They didn't want to mess with the original art, right, with the anime. They just made a different thing in the same world, happening in a different country. Because when you think about it, anything that, like, I don't know how many animes you've watched, because they're mostly based in Japan, right?
Yeah.
But, like, a part of me always wonders, yeah, but what's happening in the rest of the world? Like, is this happening somewhere else, or is this just isolated in Japan?
Right.
Right? This show kind of answered that question, right? Okay, sure, aliens landed in Japan, but is it only in Japan that this is happening, or is it happening in other parts of the world too? Mm-hmm. You come to find out, yeah, here's Korea's version of what's happening, right? And I thought that was so genius of them. They did such a great job with that. Which brings me to the last thing that I would say that was like the icing on top, or the cherry on top, right? Was what's his name? Shinichi showing up at the end of the show as a reporter, and I'm like, put a period at the end of that sentence, because that was delicious.
Yeah.
That was so good. I was like, and that's kind of like, because I don't know about you, but like throughout the entire show, I didn't know if this was just a different telling of the original anime or what. It wasn't until you meet Shinichi at the end of the show,
right,
that you're like, oh, this is all happening at the exact same time. That's cool. That was the thing that was like, yes, this show was great.
That reminds me of, you ever heard of the One Piece fan letter episode that came out recently?
I haven't watched it.
I'm not going to spoil it for you, but just like how you said, if the parasites only falling in Japan? Yeah. So in the fan letter, it is actually regular people of the One Piece world experiencing the certain effects of the One Piece characters.
Oh.
So some people are fans of certain things because of it, but you would have to watch a certain amount of episodes to understand what I mean. But there is fans that don't have that you never see on the One Piece show.
Right. So
these are the people that they're like the fan versions of their world. So like us. Mm-hmm. So it reminded me of that after you brought it up just now about, is it happening in other worlds or in other parts of the same world? And The Grey did a great job. I do hope there's a second one, because my girl Suin needs like some kind of family. Like all she got now is Kang-woo, maybe. And I don't know if he's going to leave her, because that's his kind of forte. And I don't know if they're going to have him back as the character Kang-woo, because he doesn't necessarily need to be there. But, she could probably be a very big asset to the cop lady. I don't know. But as far as the grades go, I think I would give this, I'm going to give this an A. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Pacing, storyline, it kept up with the heartbreak. It's good.
I give it an A-. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic. So good. Like I said, the idea of what they did with it, not to mess with the anime, was genius. I think that's, now granted, there's a lot of shows you can't do that with. You can't do that with Cowboy Bebop. You just can't, right? Because it revolves around these characters, right? While Parasite revolves around the parasites that are invading the earth. So there's some shows you just can't do that with.
Yeah.
But I thought the way they went around it was genius. It didn't mess with anything. It only added to the lure of the world. Mm-hmm. A- only because Cho-Min dies, and that really,
that was sad.
I can't remember, but I want to say I got teary eyed. Okay, tears were forming. Maybe one even fell.
I was like,
one for the homies.
I was mad. Yeah, for real. Cho-Min was a real one. He figured out that his partner was a traitor.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously,
too late.
Yeah, too late, and then gone. And I understand it, And this was a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Follow us on IG, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and TikTok. You can catch all of our video content on YouTube. Please a review, as it will help our podcast grow. Sorry, I got to get used to that. And join our community on Discord. Thanks for hopping in. Don't forget, turn it to 11.